Well, my journey to anti-racism has been very much a twofold kind of journey. I would say I grew up in I was born in Los Angeles, raised in Orange County. So I was used to diversity growing up. But I always had kind of one foot in each world kind of thing. I grew up Korean American, but I was really immersed in American culture. And I would say when we moved to Orange County, I was still fairly young. I was about 6 or 7 years old. So moving from a very diverse neighborhood and from Los Angeles moving here to Orange County, the diversity levels were very different. So carrying over such an urban upbringing to an Orange County, very, not rural, but what's that word? Just suburban, I would say, area. It was challenging because here I realized there were kind of fixed perspectives and expectations of what it comes to being somebody who looks like me. But I broke all kinds of stereotypes. I was very talkative as a child. I was constantly being moved around in the class because I was always talking, but I was just teachers and classmates, they just never really expected that from me. So I think stereotypes and biases, it was very common for me growing up, and I learned all of that. I honestly didn't really know what to expect to be Korean or Korean American. Having those two identities commingled, that was a brand new thing for me. And it was only till later on when I really identified as being Korean American, because I was always, put in my head, you're Korean, you're Korean, you're Korean, this is what we do, this is how we are, all the expectations that come with it, being studious, quiet, accommodating, the submissive role, whatever it was. And I don't think I really fit into any of those stereotypes. So, I think that was the main thing, just having one foot in each world and not knowing who to really please and which rules to really follow. So it's kind of been my journey. I didn't really have a talk, but I was constantly compared to my cousins, my older cousins, because I'm an only child, of what it is to be an example. I think they very much instilled that, being that model minority mentality in me. So you have to be studious, you have to be accommodating, you have to, you have to be a hard worker. Always, I was expected to be good in math and science. My parents thought I was gonna major in something, medically related or something that has to do with numbers, being a lawyer, an accountant, or something like that. But math was not my strong suit. So I actually got a D in Algebra 2 my sophomore year. And I remember my mom, she was so disappointed. But again, I never fit into that typical role of being Asian American and Korean American, and that was pretty much the sticking point where I was like, this is not gonna work. I can't fit into your expectation of what you want me to be growing up. So I flat out told my mom, I'm sorry, I can't be a doctor, I'm not gonna be a nurse, I'm terrible at math. I can't, no engineering, whatever it was. So, I would say the talk, it was just more about success, about what it is to be successful. You have to succeed. You have to have a career or where society is going to think highly of you. So, that was pretty much the talk for me growing up. Those recent events with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, I can't say that I'm personally affected or directly affected. I think what got my mind thinking was I had to truly look at myself and really ask myself if I am a true anti-racist, that term, and then just being, I think it's easy to empathize, but it's hard to actually take action and do something about it. And I think that's what really got me thinking. So it was really unfortunate. It did affect me for a long time, and people that are close to me and colleagues, it affected them personally. So in that sense, it impacted me. But for me, I think it got my mind working with what's gonna happen next. Like, what actions can I take to make sure, things like this don't happen, or more of how can we strip away that mentality. So I started by kind of, opening a conversation with my parents to see what they were thinking. Obviously, can't change their mind, but it did get me thinking of what we can do on a community level, what kind of conversations to have, and just really kind of learning how other people think. And then I realized we have a lot of unlearning to do too, just as a society in general. So that starts with stereotypes and biases, and it's a lot of hard work, but I think making people aware of that can start stripping away the thinking. So for me, that's how it impacted me. To at least affect change, or at least get the wheels turning on change, I realize it's built in our conscious, just stereotypes and biases. But I think just be considerate of other people's experiences and perspectives. At least that way, it's a turning point. And the work that I do in our office and with my team, we make sure that diversity and race and heritage, it's celebrated and it's honored. So we recognize it, not to make the focus all about that, but we make it a point to make sure that it is something that should be celebrated, and not something that you should be shamed for. So when you asked me when you brought up that question, am I racist? It really took me back to my sociology class, my undergrad career. My professor, she presented us with this scenario, and it was, let me ask you, if you're walking down the street and you come across a black man, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna say hi to that man, or are you not going to say hi to that man? And she said, let me tell you, either option you present will be considered racist, because if you say hi to that man, you're essentially making yourself say hi to that man because you don't want to be racist. But if you don't say hi to that man, you're still racist, because essentially you're saying you're afraid to say hi to that man because of what he looks like. So that scenario, that stuck in my head through this whole time. It's been over 10 years since I took that class. So that really had me thinking. I was like, what would I do? I don't know. I really don't know. She took the scenario one step further, and she said, what would you do if it was late at night? And I was like, we all, most of us were afraid to share. So I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Because, at one point, either way, even I'd like to say, no, that doesn't matter, even if it was anybody else, even if it was an Asian American guy. No, because it's the night. It's at night. I'm walking by myself. He is walking by himself. I'm not going to put myself in a potentially risky situation. But at the same time, and then she took it another step further, and she said, so depending on your response, what happens if he says hi to you first? So, that scenario stuck in my mind forever, and I asked, I kind of I present it in certain conversations, and every time nobody can really answer. Nobody can honestly answer, I should say.